A little time talking about how important states' rights are?
Well, I mean, obviously, if you go back to the history of the founders, I've been very interested in the early years of our country for many years. My fifth great-grandfather and fourth great-grandfather fought in the Revolution, and I've just had a very profound interest in that all my life, even as a child. But obviously, the relationship between the states and the federal government is very critical to the nature of our country. And the idea was that states would be free to try different ways of solving problems. And by looking at the states, you could see what worked and what didn't. And here in our country, we have an excellent example of that now. You have states like California, like Illinois, unfortunately like Minnesota, which have been controlled by one state, typically the Democrats, for many, many years, and they've been mismanaged. The money has been spent poorly. The essential rule of fiscal responsibility has been violated, and those states are in a lot of trouble. And we're going to be in a lot of trouble if we don't change course.
We are in a lot of trouble.
We are in a lot of trouble. We
Yes.
have many billions of dollars in deficit that we have to deal with.
Right.
And we can't deal with it by just snipping a little here and there. We need to reform and redesign government. And that's what our team, that's what the Unity team, as we call it, is really all about, is redesigning government so that it works just as well, or much better.
Much better.
It's going to provide the services people want at a dramatically lower cost. Why do we need 8 offices of aging? Why do we need 4 offices of water? I mean, there's so much redundancy and so much waste. It needs to be addressed in a 21st century manner. So this is the role of the states, to go about trying to solve problems in creative ways so that the people of the country can look and see, well, this worked here and this didn't work in that state. When the federal government comes in and takes over everything, you lose that. That's the genius of our system.
Mm-hmm.
You lose the genius of our system. You lose the ability of states to creatively and innovatively solve these problems. And unfortunately, since the 1930s, we've seen the federal government assume more and more power and more control. And many people believe, and I agree, that it's doing damage to the structure, to the actual structure of our nation. So what's going to happen, what you're seeing already, is you're seeing states push back. You're seeing states begin to say, look, federal government, you're not doing very well here. You are driving us into debt. You're spending way too much money. You're infringing on the rights of the states. We want to enforce the constitutional limitations. We want the 10th Amendment to actually apply. And so we're going to go our own route. We're going to try our own methods. And we don't want to go off a cliff like California. We don't want to go off a cliff like Michigan and like Illinois. We want to pull back. We want to go our own way and use systems that will work for our people. And I think more and more you're really going to see that happening. So this is important for our state. We have an Attorney General here that won't even defend us against Obamacare. What about all these other things? There are going to be many other issues. It's not just Obamacare where the 10th Amendment is going to count.